Hi there everybody, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel. Amongst other things, I'm a reenactor and a jouster, and recently I've been doing a bunch of different projects that I thought I would share with you today. Firstly, I've got this reenactment dagger which you will have seen on a previous video. I've now since then glued a piece of leather down one side, and now I need to sew up the back of it, dye the leather and then glue it all together. So that's close to finishing. In another video you might have seen me working on this scabbard. It is a scabbard that I'd previously made and broken, and I'm fixing it back together and hopefully making it a lot more stronger by laminating in some extra layers of linen as well. I've also got these brass discs to have a go at making some rondel daggers, maybe some of the fake ones, and maybe even try a real one at some point. I got a little bit excited as well, and I peeled the leather facing off of my reenactment sword's grip because I want to thin it down and give it a bit more of an authentic handle. So that's another project. And finally, my 4-year-old is going to be joining me at an event this year. So I've started making him his own armour. Here is one of the rarer braces to go on the upper arm. The van braces. It's going to be a simple floating construction, and I've got some brass to make some nice shiny cooters, but some people have given me some advice that I need to anneal this. I was surprised that the brass was harder to use than the steel. This is obviously a more complicated shape. This is the elbow piece. We'll see how this goes. I might need to find some way of heating this up to a very high temperature. So I did actually ask my Patreons which one of these projects they'd like me to complete first, and they said to complete my son's armour because he's likely to grow out of it. But slight problem is, because I don't have anything to anneal the brass with on the elbow pieces, I'm beginning to get some cracks where I've been working it too much. Can you see that little crack? So I'm going to need to put this on hold. I'm going to go on to doing a bit of leather working now, and I'll talk you through that a little bit as I do it. So here I've taken the leather out to the back garden. Just gives me a bit more space than on my table, mostly because my table's messy. This wooden board isn't actually as big as the table in my shed, but I'm a messy person, so yeah, it's a problem. So I'm marking out how much leather I need. I do actually want to have enough for an offcut. I think it's always better to slightly over measure than to under measure, and then you've wasted the whole bit instead of just wasting a little bit. So I've got a straight edge on one part of the leather. I'm measuring out a rectangle using the scabbard as a guide, and then I'm cutting it out with a very sharp knife. Be careful if you're going to do anything with knives. Sharp knives are much better than blunt knives, because you will end up damaging the leather with a blunt knife, or yourself, because you have to push harder. So here it is cut out, and I'm just folding it round a little bit, making sure that it will fit to mark the other straight edge. And you can see that this is going to be at a slight angle because the scabbard itself is at a slight angle. It's not fully rectangular, wider at the top than the bottom. There we go, there's the offcut. Always keep your offcuts. I'm sure I'll find a use for it, even if it's just to turn it into leather points. Those sorts of things can be really useful. So I'm going back in now. Now, I'm really sorry about the framing on this. I did not check, and I should have done. So you get the bottom left hand corner for a little while. I'm just wetting down the leather, trying out different ways of doing it. I started off with a paper towel, which got torn up pretty quickly on the rough side of the leather. Eventually I go looking and manage to find a sponge, which is much better. And I'm not trying to saturate the leather, it's just trying to get an even dampness to it. And this is to help it to form around the wooden core. Leather becomes much more stretchy when it's wet, so it will give a much better form around the curves of the wooden core, and it should as well help with the glue, because it will allow the wood glue to penetrate the leather slightly, instead of just sitting on the edge of the rough side. If you were going to do tooling, then doing that on wet leather would work as well, but I'm not planning on tooling it too much. It's just got, this scabbard's got one razor, which this will need to go around. So originally on this scabbard, you may remember I did a thin leather outer. I was very focused on trying to make it as thin as possible, and actually I prefer it thicker, so make of that what you will, but yeah, don't focus too much on trying to get it as thin as possible. There needs to be a certain amount of chunkiness to it. It is meant to be a war scabbard. So here I've got some white glue. Again, it's kind of construction grade exterior wood glue. I've watered it down, and I'm pasting that onto the scabbard itself. The scabbard isn't going to absorb as much of the water as the leather will, so starting with painting it onto the scabbard is more important. And now I'm just going to get some thicker undiluted wood glue and paste that down as well. So I've saturated it with the wood glue that is watered down, and that will go into the linen slightly. And now I'm pasting it with some slightly thicker wood glue that is going to hopefully give it just that little bit more grab at the beginning, to stop it from just falling off. This is, again, I don't know if this is the kind of thing that a professional scabbard maker would do, but that's what I did. Now, you missed a whole load of me completely failing to capture the clamping process, and it was really just like a big trial by error kind of thing, getting as many clamps down there as possible. I realised I didn't have enough clamps, and then I was almost going to buy some more clamps, and then I thought, actually, I do have quite a few clamps, it's just that it would have been easier with more. If you want to help me get clamps, then join my Patreon. You can find a link in the description down below. And thank you to my night level patrons. That's Sirloin de Boeuf, Robert, Carrie, and Nightly_lady. So we've got a few of us over there now. Occasional chats when I get a video ready early, that comes up. So yeah, that I'll post that up early. Anyway, I'm just kind of showing and talking through the other things that I need to do now, because this is where I'm leaving it for this video. I need to add the shape on the end. Got that from Todd's workshop. Here's my sword that's going in it. That needs a bit of attention. It's from St George Armories in the UK. It's a good reenactment blade. And there is my scabbard drying. I'm not sure if I'm going to just glue the back side of it or if I'm going to sew it up. So let me know in the comments down below what you think I should do. And yeah, don't forget all of the good old stuff like liking, sharing and subscribing. Thank you for watching this far, and I'll see you in my next video.